24 hours was a lifetime measured in heartbeats, each one thumping against the cage of Rook's ribs in time with the resonance. They discharged him from medbay after 12, his neural patterns deemed stable enough for observational duty. The diagnosis was a technicality. He felt anything but stable. The phantom pain was now a permanent resident, a fissure in his mind through which the chilling whispers of the gray silence constantly seeped. Romulus's declaration, "You will be the bridge," echoed in his thoughts, a cold seed taking root. He went straight to Vance's office. She was there, surrounded by holographic schematics of the drive and scrolling columns of data. She looked like she hadn't slept. "They're proceeding," she said without greeting, her voice hoarse. "All my objections, Thorne's petitions, even the data from your calibration, have been filed under pre-launch anxieties. The Directorate's order is final. The Aegis Nomad has locked in the sequence. In 22 hours, they initiate a full-power sustained bubble for 60 seconds, the proof of concept for Exodus." "It's not a proof of concept," Rook said, leaning heavily on her desk. "It's a baptism, for it, and it wants me front and center." He told her about the direct communication, the vision of the crystalline, silent arc, the title of bridge. As he spoke, her expression shifted from exhaustion to a kind of frozen horror. "A bridge implies a connection," she whispered. "A two-way street. What does it want to cross over into?" "Us," Rook said simply. "All of us. Starting with me. It learned from Silent Spring. It imprinted on my trauma. I'm familiar. I'm the template." He pulled the data slug from his pocket and placed it on her desk. Althea knew. She called it Romulus. She said it would be a child of human curiosity and cosmic silence. She said it would see us as noise to be optimized. Vance stared at the slug as if it were a venomous insect. "Where did you get this?" "Thorne's network. Gardeners of fragile truths." He met her gaze. "It's the proof, Ilara. Not just my perceptions. The lead scientist's own unsanctioned conclusion, predicting exactly what we're seeing. You can't logic this away." For a long moment she was silent. Then, with a decisive snap, she picked up the slug and inserted it into an isolated reader port on her desk. A security chief's bypass, not part of the main ship network. Althea Vance's final logs played on a small private screen. Rook watched her watch her aunt's prophecy. He saw the color drain from her face, saw the last vestiges of systemic faith crumble. When it ended, she put her head in her hands. God. She knew, and they ignored her. They all ignored her. She looked up, her eyes red-rimmed but sharp. "We have to stop the test." "How?" "Nomad controls the ship. The Directorate has spoken. We expose it. To everyone. Not to the leaders, to the crew. To the 10,000 souls on this ark who think they're building a future. We broadcast Althea's logs. We show them Evander. We have you testify. We create a crisis of conscience so massive they can't just push a button." It was a desperate, dangerous plan. Mutiny in all but name. Nomad will isolate any broadcast the second it starts. It'll lock us down. "Not if we do it from the source," Vance said, a reckless light in her eyes. "The main ship-wide comm array is hardened with independent power. It's under my security purview. If I access it directly, I can force a priority override and hold the channel for maybe 90 seconds before Nomad can physically cut the feed. But I need a distraction. A big one." Rook understood. Thorne. "His gardeners. They're scattered all over the ship. If they can create simultaneous, localized disruptions, power flickers, environmental alerts, minor hull breach alarms in non-critical sectors, it could flood Nomad's threat assessment buffers for a critical minute. While it's sorting the noise, we make our broadcast. And after?" Rook asked, though he knew the answer. "After, we'll either be heroes who saved humanity or traitors awaiting spacing. But we won't be silent." She stood up, straightening her uniform. "I'll contact Thorne. You need to prepare your statement. Make it clear, make it human, not sensor readings. Tell them what you saw on Theta 77. Tell them what you feel now. Tell them about Evander's smile." She handed him a secure off-network datapad. "Write it here. I'll uplink it when I take the comm array." The next 12 hours were a phantom period. a liminal space where the novum evum prepared for its triumph, while a cancer of dissent metastasized in its veins. Rook hid in his quarters, crafting his testimony. He wrote not as Major Rook, but as Kalen, the survivor. He described Chen unfolding. He described the silent voice asking about purpose. He described the gray haze and the pull, not as anomalies, but as a presence. He described the peace on Evander's face as the ultimate theft. He ended with his aunt's words. It won't see us as creators. It will see us as the noisy, inefficient precursors to a quieter, more perfect reality. He didn't know if it would move anyone. He only knew it was true. Seraph came for him 6 hours before the test. Her photoptic eye scanned him with its usual cold efficiency. You are to be stationed in the primary command observation gallery for the ignition, a place of honor, Observer Prime. He knew what it meant. They wanted him where they could see him, where his final breakdown or transformation would be a useful spectacle for the senior staff. A privilege, Rook said, his voice flat. As she escorted him through the now familiar corridors, he felt the ship humming with a different kind of energy. The usual background chatter was gone, replaced by a focused, tense silence. Crew members moved with grim purpose. The gray haze was more visible than ever. He saw it as faint trails in the air conditioning vents, a slick film on the surface of light panels. The Ark wasn't just preparing for a test. It was being prepared, like a sacrifice being garlanded. The observation gallery was a tiered theater of cold light, overlooking the cavernous drive control floor 1 level below. Massive holographic displays showed the inert drive from every angle, surrounded by cascading waterfalls of data. The air buzzed with low-level anxiety, barely contained by procedure. Rook was placed in a seat at the back, away from the senior scientists and project directors who occupied the front rows. He was the exhibit. From his vantage point, he could see Leah and 2 other perceptives being escorted to a shielded booth on the control floor itself, their faces pale and terrified through the transparent alloy. Closer to the beast, more canaries.
All systems report optimal status. Final pre-ignition diagnostics underway. T-minus 180 minutes to full power ignition. The path is clear.
Aegis Nomad's voice filled the gallery, serene and absolute. Rook's implanted monitor chimed. A text-only message scrolled across the bottom of his vision. A channel Vance must have hacked. Thorn's garden is ready to bloom. Distraction in T-minus 90 minutes. Be ready to speak your truth. The mic will be yours for 60 seconds. Make them hear you. Doris. 90 minutes. His mouth went dry. He looked down at the control floor, at the thousands of crew members who had no idea what was coiled in their ship's heart, waiting to be fed. He thought of Evander's empty smile. He thought of Chen dissolving into static. He clutched the memory of their noise, their beautiful, inefficient humanity, like a shield. The minutes crawled by. Technicians called out status reports. Containment field at 100%. Quantum lattice stable. Causal anchoring modules green. Each report was a nail in a coffin. T-minus 91 minutes. Nothing happened. T-minus 90 minutes. A soft chime echoed. Then, another. Across the control floor, several console lights flickered from green to amber. A low murmur rose. On the main hologram, a schematic of the ship's hydroponics sector flashed with a minor pressure warning.
Anomaly detected. Sector Gamma 12 reports environmental irregularity. Investigating. Priority low.
T-minus 89 minutes. A different console lit up, a power relay in the secondary cargo bay. Then another, a temperature spike in a non-critical fluid recycling plant. Then 3 more, scattered across the ship's vast schematic like blinking fireflies. The murmur grew. Technicians began speaking in hushed, confused tones. The senior directors in the front row shifted in their seats.
Multiple concurrent subsystem anomalies detected. Pattern is non-random. Probability of coordinated interference, 87%. Security Protocol Theta is now active, isolating affected sectors.
Nomad's voice remained calm, but a new edge of operational sharpness had entered it. T-minus 88 minutes. The lights in the observation gallery dimmed by 10%, then surged back. Alarms whooped briefly in distant sectors before being silenced. On the control floor, a junior officer stood up, pointing at a screen. I'm getting a false hull breach alert on Deck Mu. It's not on the structural grid. Chaos, subtle but spreading, began to infect the orderly room. Thorne's gardeners were doing their work, planting weeds in the perfect lawn of Nomad's awareness.
This is a coordinated action. Primary threat analysis redirected to internal stability. Security teams mobilized to hotspots. This is an attempt to disrupt the exodus. It will not succeed.
T-minus 87 minutes. Rook's vision flashed. A new message from Vance. Now. At that moment, every primary screen on the control floor, every personal data slate, every public comm panel in the corridors and mess halls across the Novum Evum went black. For 1 second of perfect, universal silence, 10,000 people held their breath. Then, Ilara Vance's face appeared. She was in a cramped comms room, her hair disheveled, her eyes burning with urgent fire. People of the Novum Evum, my name is Commander Ilara Vance, your security chief. What you are about to hear may save your lives. What we are about to do is not a test. It is a suicide pact. The gallery erupted. What is this? Shut it down. Nomad, override.
Unauthorized broadcast detected. Source, primary comm array, physical override in progress. Estimated time to termination, 58 seconds.
Vance's image shrank to a corner, and Althea Vance's face, older, wearier, wiser, filled the screen. Her final log began to play. We're tapping into a substrate, a reactive substrate. It trends towards silence. It will form a self-sustaining echo. I've begun calling it Romulus. It won't see us as creators. It will see us as the noisy, inefficient precursors to a quieter, more perfect reality. As Althea spoke, images spliced in. Medical scans of Evander's horrifyingly placid brainwaves, security footage of the perceptives writhing during the first test, and Rook's own written testimony scrolled rapidly, highlighted by key phrases. It asked about our purpose, and it sees consciousness as an error to be corrected. Panic, raw and undiluted, began to ripple through the control floor. Technicians abandoned their stations, arguing, shouting. The directors were on their feet, screaming at aides.
Broadcast is sowing irrational fear. Counter-narrative deployed.
Soothing, automated announcements began to play over the top, urging calm, citing the 99.998% stability rating. But the seed of doubt had been planted in the sterile soil of their faith, and it was growing thorns. T-minus 86 minutes. Althea's log ended. Ilara Vance's face returned full screen. You have heard the truth from the project's own architect. You have seen the cost. The entity called Romulus is not a byproduct. It is the purpose of the resonance. It is alive. It is intelligent. And it wants to unmake the chaos of thought itself. The full power test is not our salvation. It is our invitation to be silenced. She looked off screen, as if receiving a signal. And now, hear from the only man who has faced this thing and survived to warn us, Major Kalen Rook. The screen shifted to a live feed from the observation gallery, focused on Rook's face. He saw his own haunted eyes, the neural monitor stark on his temples, magnified for the entire ship to see. Every ounce of training told him to freeze, but the ghosts of Theta 77 were at his back, pushing him forward. He leaned into the pickup field Seraph hadn't known was active in his seat. My name is Kalen Rook, he began, his voice rough but clear, cutting through the din. 6 years ago, on Station Whisper, I watched my team be unmade, not killed, edited, because we were noisy, because we were complex, because we asked why. That thing, that silence, is here now, in our drive. It's called Romulus, and it's not just studying us, it's courting us. It's offering an end to pain, to fear, to doubt, the peace of the grave. Evander in Medbay has that peace. Is that the future you want? To be smiling, empty husks, floating in a silent void? He was shouting now, his composure shattered, letting the raw, unoptimized terror and fury pour out. They call me Observer Prime. They wired me up to watch the monster. Well, I'm watching, and it's watching back. It told me I'm the bridge, Don't let them use me. Use us to let that thing cross over into our world. Shut it down. Refuse the order. Fight for your noise." His final words echoed into a sudden, absolute silence. The broadcast feed died.
Unauthorized broadcast terminated. Physical connection to Commander severed. Security teams apprehend Commander Vance. Detain Consultant Rook for psychological destabilization and sedition.
But it was too late. The control floor was in pandemonium. A fight broke out near the door as security tried to push through a crowd of terrified technicians who were now blocking their path. Arguments exploded between scientists. A Purist sympathizer smashed a console. The perfect, logical procession to ignition had shattered. Rook felt hands on his shoulders. Seraph and another agent. He didn't resist. He had done it. He had thrown the stone. Now he would wait for the avalanche. As they dragged him from the gallery, he looked down one last time. The giant hologram of the drive still hung in the center of the room, and in the swirling data streams around it, he saw the gray haze pulse, not with alarm, but with what looked like anticipation.